Okay, Company T are designing a toy to be sold online. The toy will be made up of a hemisphere with radius x and a right cone with radius x and height y. Cone will be attached to the top of the hemisphere as shown below. Given that the total mass of the toy is 100 pi grams and the density of the toy is 60 grams per centimeter cubed, express y in terms of x. The first thing I'm thinking is, right, density, mass, volume. They're connected, aren't they? So the volume is equal to mass divided by density. So that's my key thing that I'm going to write down to start with. So I can work out my volume from the information I've got. So my volume equals my mass, which is 100 pi, divided by my density, which is 60. Okay. So I can just simplify this a little bit. So that's the same as 10 pi divided by 6, right? If I just divide both top and bottom by 10, which is the same as, if I simplify 10/6, I get 5/3. So it's the same as 5/3 of pi. So that's probably the first sort of stage in working this out, is to work out the volume of the whole thing. Okay, so now, how is the volume comprised for each of these things? Well, you know the formula for the volume of a cone, and you know the formula for the volume of a sphere. And if I add those two things together, I will get this. So I just need to lay it all out. So let's start with the volume of the cone. So the volume of the cone is 1/3. So volume of a cone equals 1/3 pi r squared h. And you just have to know these formulae. So volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. And the volume of the sphere is 4/3 pi r cubed. But I haven't got a sphere here, I've got a hemisphere, so I've got half of that. So therefore, hemisphere is half of that, which would be 2/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so I haven't put in any numbers yet or any of the variables yet at all. I've just written down what's the volume of a cone, what's the volume of a sphere, so what's the volume of my hemisphere. Just got to take it one step at a time. So my volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h. R is x, isn't it? Yeah, r is x. So I'm just going to substitute x in. So I've got 1/3 pi x squared, and h is y. So I've got 1/3 pi x squared y. So I'm just substituting in my values at the moment, or not values, just the algebra. And if I add the volume of the hemisphere on the bottom, that's 2/3 pi x cubed. That gives me my total volume, which is 5/3 pi, which we worked out at the start. Now the thing is that when you get to grade 8, grade 9, it's all about how good you are at manipulating algebra. And in this case, I've got to get it, so I've got y on its own, and x, everything to do with x on the other side. So the first thing I can do is I can see that I can just remove pi. If I divide by pi here, and I divide all of this side by pi, then each term here is divided by pi. So I can get rid of all of the pi parts completely. So I've got 1/3 x squared y plus 2/3 x cubed equals 5/3. Now, how to get y on its own? I want to divide by x in some way, and the largest power of x. So I'm going to divide by x squared because it's the highest power of x that I will be able to divide by. Now, if I divide this by x squared, then each part of this has to be divided by x squared, and this side has got to be divided by x squared, which gives me 1/3 y plus 2/3 x. I've still got 1x left, equals 5/3x squared. Okay, I've divided it by x squared as well on this side. So it's just how good you are in getting that practice manipulating algebra. You know, once you get more practice at it, you get better and better at it. So now I just want all my x's, everything, all my terms with an x on one side and all my terms with a y on the other. So if I take away 2/3 x from both sides, that gives me 1/3 y equals 5/3x squared, take away 2/3 x. I'm really nearly there now. All I have to do is just times it by 3. Times both sides by 3. Remember, that means timesing each term on this side by 3. So that gives me y equals 5/just 1x squared if I've times it by 3. Take away just 2 lots of x. And that's my answer.